Hey everybody and welcome back to Semi Stories. Today we got a couple of stories from r/TrueOffMyChest, starting with OP, who tells the story of how a couple wants to adopt her son for his own good. I, 24 female, am a single mom to my son Owen, 8. It's been just us since day one. His father isn't in the picture and has been able to avoid child support for years now. Yes, I've tried everything. My own parents disowned me. I had to drop out of high school and have worked a myriad of jobs since then to keep us afloat. We aren't on the poverty line by any means, but we definitely live paycheck to paycheck in a one-bedroom apartment. It's not ideal, and I hope within the next couple of years we'll be someplace bigger, but for now it's our situation. I've raised Owen to know that money isn't everything. We may not have a lot, he won't always have the newest this or that, but we have each other. The two of us are very close. He has never gone without the basics, but I admit, he doesn't get a lot of fun extras. I try to save a little here and there to make birthdays and holidays fun, but it's still never anything glamorous. And I think Owen was fine with that. Until recently anyway. In our area, all the public schools are based on a lottery system, so your child has a fair shot of going to any of them, so long as you put in their name. Our neighborhood school is not great and in a pretty crappy area, so I decided to put him in a different one across town. It's near my job, so it works out. Last year, when he was in 2nd grade, he met Charlie. They began hanging out a lot after school, with Owen going over to his place. I met Charlie's parents, Nate and Paige, a couple of times before this began. They seemed very nice and supportive. Owen always had a great time at their house. Charlie occasionally came to our apartment, but usually they were at their place, which made sense. I work and there's really not much for them to do here, even when I'm off. Summer breaks are easy to find care, as there are several free or low-cost camps that I can put Owen in. It's the shorter breaks, such as Christmas and spring, that are harder. Camp space is limited. Spring break of 2022, I managed to just miss registration. Paige is a stay-at-home mom and offered to take Owen for the week. I was hesitant to ask so much of her, but she insisted. He had a really fun time with them. They did a ton of activities and Paige refused my attempts to pay her back at least some. I couldn't afford all. I admit, I did feel a tad uncomfortable with her spending so much on my son, but at the same time, I didn't want to deprive Owen of this stuff. Summer came, and while I did get Owen into camp, he spent a lot of time with Charlie as well. He ended up going on vacation with them. I, again, was very hesitant, but the experience was something I could never give Owen, and it wasn't too far away. He had a blast. I kept telling Nate and Paige that there was no way I could ever pay them back, and they kept insisting that they loved having Owen around. They told me what a great kid he is, sweet and respectful. At one point, I really pressed Paige as to why she was so insistent on having Owen around so much. That's when she told me that they never planned for Charlie to be an only child, but all attempts at giving him a sibling just didn't happen. They know that Owen will never make up for not having a brother, but they can give him a consistent playmate so he's not lonely, they'll do it. Should this have been a red flag? Maybe. But at the same time, I found it sweet that the boys considered each other brothers. I thought it was innocent. Surely, Paige and Nate knew the truth, right? Right? This continued for a bit, and come Christmas break of 2022, Paige and Nate insisted that I not even bother to try and get Owen into a camp. They'd take care of him for me. I was grateful. They ended up getting him more Christmas gifts than I did. I tried to set my pride aside because it was about Owen, not me. This is still when things finally started seeming off to me. I understood a gift on his birthday, and while they didn't get him as many gifts as they got Charlie, it was a lot more than you would typically get your kid's friend. Fast forward to now. Spring break was last week, and this time Paige and Nate didn't just offer to take care of him during the day while I worked, they asked if Owen could spend the entire week at their house. Honestly, it meant I could pick up some more shifts and save up for the bike that Owen wants for his birthday, so I said yes. I went to pick him up on Saturday afternoon, and the kids were playing out back, so Nate and Paige asked to talk to me. They sat me down and said they love Owen, and he's always such a joy to have. I thanked them profusely for all they'd done for him. Paige suggested that Owen stay a little longer. I pointed out Easter was Sunday, plus school started up on Monday. They said that they could take him to school. I felt weird and said no, it was time for Owen to come home. That's when Nate suggested that Owen stay with them long term. I could still see him, but they would take care of him. I thought they were joking and said, like what, you'd be his guardians or something? They got quiet, and reality rushed over me. I pointed out that this was not a movie. They can't just get custody. They started spouting some legal stuff about how I could assign them as guardians and they would help make this transition smooth. They told me to think about Owen and what's best for him. I told them there was no way in hell I was going to give up my son. I grabbed Owen and we left. I've blocked their numbers. Owen has no clue what's going on. I'm keeping him home tomorrow and took the day off work to figure something out. Legally, they can't take him, but now I know that they want and I'm terrified. I don't want him going back to that school. Do we move? I'm so lost. And I feel so stupid because looking back, all the warning signs were there. I know Owen is going to be devastated losing Charlie, Paige and Nate. How am I ever going to explain it to him? OP then posted the first update. Monday night, I talked to Owen and explained that Nate and Paige were not safe. He was confused and I explained that they wanted to take him away from me. I think it spooked him as he started crying, saying he didn't want to leave me and he didn't want to see them again. I held him and assured him he was not going anywhere. He understands that he is never to go anywhere with them and that the school is taking measures to protect him. I said that he could talk and play with Charlie at school, and he says that he doesn't want to. I was honestly worried he'd hate me, but you were all right. Telling him the full story made him realize how serious it was. He also understands that the gifts and the trips will stop, and he says that he's alright with it. Also, I want to address one last thing. I've gotten a few people offering me money or gifts. Please do not do that. I'm very appreciative, but that was not the purpose of this post. If you wish to do something, donate to your local shelter or other charity. Owen and I are not in need. I'd rather see it go to people who actually need it. I didn't see Nate or Paige at drop-off, nor have I gotten into contact with them. But then again, I did block them everywhere. Thank you all for your help. I'll update if anything else happens, and hopefully it won't. Sadly for OP, something did happen in the second update. Well, what everyone feared would happen, did. Tuesday he returned to school. I told him he could still talk and play with Charlie. I was hesitant to drop him off, but figured you can't live in fear. Most afternoon, my son takes the bus to a local rec center for aftercare. I had already told the school everything and that Nate and Paige were not to pick Owen up. I managed to call and even make sure he got on the bus. Aftercare was also made aware of the change in pickup list. Well, half an hour later, I get a call that Paige had tried to pick up my son. The front desk refused to release him. Didn't say why, just that she was no longer on the list. She wouldn't leave and the police were called. She was escorted out of the building. While she wasn't brought to jail, there is a police report and I am using this to go to court and get an order of protection. Paige and Nate are also banned from the rec center, so if they do show up, they will get arrested for trespassing. The police are working on ways to protect us and the local social service office has been made aware of the situation. So should they try to make a claim, they're aware of the situation. And that's all she wrote. What a scary ending to the story. Listen, parents being overly nice to the friend of their only son isn't too weird. I know that the mom of one of my old friends used to take me to do fun stuff with him whenever we didn't get invited to, for example, a birthday party. So it's not that weird to think that they just wanted their son to have a nice classmate. To think that the parents would go to such lengths, however, to claim Owen for themselves is insane. Like, who does that? They just ruined their son even further by costing him a valuable friend. What terrible parents. I'm glad she realized when she did and took the right measures for an otherwise horrible situation. In our second and last story, Opie gets a taste of his own cheating medicine and complains about it. I cheated on my wife. 38 male, 41 female, 4 years ago. I regret it to this day and have never done anything since. We have 2 small children, and when she found out, she moved out. Life was hard on the both of us and we were miserable. I love my wife more than anything, and losing her was excruciating. After a few months apart, I begged her to come back and we took it slow, going to therapy and just trying to build our life together back up. She moved back after a year and everything was back to normal again. We were even stronger and our relationship grew. We were very happy together. I finally thought our life was perfect again. About a week ago, a man showed up at my door, and when I opened, he was confused, then apologized for mixing the days up. I was supposed to fly home with my children the next day. My wife took over and she went back to the guy's car and they talked for about 5 minutes and he drove away. I asked her who he was and she said that he was just a friend. He came to pick her up because I was supposed to be at my parents', but he mixed the days. I was shocked, so I asked her if she was sleeping with him. She was so unbelievably unbothered, looked at me for a moment and said, "Yeah." I was speechless. "Are you sleeping with others?" "Yeah." "Since when?" "Since we got back together." She was calm the whole time, talking about like it was normal. She then asked me why it was okay for me and not for her, and when I said that I never as much as looked at another woman since I cheated, she was surprised at first and then laughed at me. She said that she just assumed that I did, so she thought if I could, then so could she. I cancelled my trip to stay with her at home, but she said that she was sorry. She already made the plans. I got very upset and started yelling at her. She said that if I didn't like it, maybe we aren't supposed to be together. Then she said that if I start yelling again, I want a divorce. What the Ooh, damn. Taste of your own painful medicine, huh? Now, TrueOffMyChest has a rule to not sit in judgment over someone's post, even if you disagree. Sadly for OP, I don't abide by those rules. Dude, she checked out the moment you were back together and is just with OP for convenience, like the top comment would say. OP can be a little crybaby all he wants, but this is just the equivalent of stabbing someone, saying you're sorry, then getting stabbed back and crying about it on Reddit. Life is unfair and you made it that way. Both you and your wife are technically bad people, but I consider the situation and I think she deserves to be cut a lot of slack, and I actually commend her on this juicy payback. Get wrecked, OP. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know down below and hit that subscribe button. We're going for 200 subscribers and need all the help we can get. I'll be back again in the next one. See ya.